Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry as he appears in WWE NXT last night for the first time in a battle royal that includes TNA Wrestling, WWE, and NXT stars. Speaking of which, Javon Evans wins the battle royal and will be the #1 contender for the NXT Championship at Heatwave. Plenty of more details on the brand new Wyatt 6 faction, including the backstage reaction, production feedback, and future plans. The Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament will kick off tonight live on AEW Dynamite, and the full bracket for both tournaments is set to be revealed. We got the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw on USA Network, featuring the reveal of the Wyatt 6. Brooks Jensen is arrested last night on NXT for trespassing at the WWE Performance Center. And could we be about to see the New Day split up? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Joe Hendry. Yes, TNA Wrestling's Joe Hendry making a brief WWE NXT debut last night, competing in the Battle Royal to determine the brand new #1 contender for the WWE NXT Championship. Now, say his name as I mentioned, and he appears, but apparently not for long when it comes to the #1 contenders Battle Royal on NXT. TNA Wrestling's Joe Hendry finally made an appearance on WWE's developmental brand through their growing relationship with TNA Wrestling, and Hendry helped open the show before the match began. Hendry's music hit and he came down the ramp with a mic. The Performance Center camera was legitimately shaking as the crowd was going absolutely insane over Hendry's appearance. Now, he then pointed out that it's a 25-man battle royal, but in reality, it's 24 men and one sensation in the match, and he was going to eliminate everyone and become NXT champion and bring the championship back to TNA Wrestling. Hendry, though, wasn't long for the match, however. He was the first man eliminated after former AEW star turned NXT talent All Ego Ethan Page got in his face. Oro Mensah blindsided Page to distract him and everyone else in the ring after Hendry was dumped over the top rope. Did you see that? Hendry said in a video posted to WWE's X account where he went up to Shawn Michaels in gorilla position following his elimination. Was that your idea? 24 other men against me? Joe Hendry versus NXT. You know what, Sean? I can show up anywhere, anytime, on any show. All you've got to do is say his name. Now, Hendry has become somewhat of a mainstream sensation, especially in the UK, when his entrance theme and music video, I Believe in Joe Hendry, began trending on UK charts and went viral online. Since WWE has entered a new relationship with TNA Wrestling, bringing in wrestlers like Jordan Grace, fans have been clamoring to see Hendry on their screens for the company, and they got just that last night. So, what did you make of Joe Hendry's appearance? What did you make of Hendry not lasting that long in the Battle Royal? Do you think we're going to see more of Joe Hendry in WWE? What do you think this means for the relationship between NXT and TNA? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Before we do get to the outcome of it, the Battle Royal, it also did include another TNA talent in Frankie Kazarian. Now, as I mentioned, we did see Joe Hendry's entrance. We didn't already see Kazarian's entrance. That actually happened before the show went live on the air, but you can see it all over social media. Of course, Kazarian, a TNA original, if you will, been with the company several years, a former AEW talent as well. So there was significant TNA representation in the Battle Royal last night. That Battle Royal, though, was won by Javon Evans. He is the new #1 contender for the WWE NXT Championship. Now, as I mentioned, with TNA Wrestling stars Joe Hendry and Frankie Kazarian emerging as surprise entrants in the opening #1 contenders Battle Royal, despite their advantage of being fresh faces in the field, neither Kazarian or Hendry emerged victorious. That distinction was ultimately claimed by Javon Evans. Moments after the bell rang, a fiery Ethan Page came face to face with Hendry. Before Page could inflict any damage on the former TNA Digital Media Champion, though, a revenge-fueled Oro Mensah initiated a brawl with Page, effectively taking him out of contention. With Page preoccupied with Mensah, several talents then teamed up to eliminate Hendry, as I spoke about previously. As the field continued to dwindle, the final four Battle Royal competitors materialized as Javon Evans, Sean Spears, Dragon Lee, and Frankie Kazarian. Evans secured the elimination of Kazarian in dramatic fashion as he threw him over the top rope. Pivoting his focus towards Lee, Evans traded a series of strikes with the former NXT North American champion, paving the way for Spears to intercede and push Lee to the floor. The closing moments of the match saw Spears attempt a springboard dive onto Evans, to which Evans responded with a super kick and a flying knee. With Spears dazed, Evans then seized the opportunity to dump Spears over the top rope. With this win, Evans has now earned the right to challenge Trick Williams for the NXT Championship at the 2024 WWE NXT Heatwave event on July 7. So what did you make of the outcome of that Battle Royal? Now, the rest of the world is still buzzing over the reveal of the Wyatt 6 faction on Raw this past Monday, and we've got so many more details about this coming courtesy of Sean Rossap of Fightful Select. Now, of course, the new Wyatt 6 group debuted on Raw to a huge buzz after months of anticipation. Now, teasers for the group started in early April when Fightful Select's Sean Rossap reported that the end of Bray Wyatt's documentary on Peacock was a tease for the impending return of Bo Dallas, who is still portraying the Uncle Howdy character. Dallas has been under contract since 2022, when his brother Bray Wyatt was also signed to the company. Now, thus far, the group has not officially been named on WWE television, social media, or the website, nor have members outside of Uncle Howdy, which Fightful are reporting is by design. There has been the logo and merchandise released to suggest they're going to be called Wyatt 6. Now, it's S-I-C-K-S, or without the S, a 6 on the end of it. Now, if you had any doubts as to who the people were, we did reveal this yesterday on the video, going quite a lot in depth to the debut of the Wyatt 6. But if you had any doubts, Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, Nikki Cross played the Abigail-inspired character, Dexter Loomis is Mercy the Buzzard-inspired character, Joe Gacy is in the Gas Mask, and Eric Rowan is in the inspired character of Ramblin' Rabbit. Now, Rowan was specifically signed for the role, and several others were kept off of WWE television for months in preparation for this faction. The group has already been acknowledged on WWE programming by Jey Uso, which Fightful have been told will continue. Even though the group isn't likely to interact with every program on Raw, it's expected within the company that the ramifications will be widespread across various programs with a domino effect on stories that are happening up and down the show. Now, those that Fightful spoke to said that the wider array of talent and people attacked in the story and the characters who left before the show were calculated, planned, and designed for a variety of specific reasons. Fightful Select had reported this past weekend that there were no supernatural elements planned for the group, which as of Tuesday morning, Fightful are reporting is still the case. Now, one person in WWE noted that you can't beat ghosts with wrestling moves, indicating that it would be too hard to pay all of that off. Of course, that was something that was a big criticism of the Bray Wyatt character and the Fiend character, was these supernatural elements, which is something WWE is looking to refrain from when it comes to this Wyatt 6 faction. Now, the Wyatt group was not listed on any rundowns for Raw, but all of the hints and QR codes pointed to June 17, and the roster was made aware that the group was coming in. There were some graphic and promo shots that have made their way internally that accurately reflected the look of the group, but were kept pretty close to the vest. As the main event happened, the stage was quickly set up to show the reveal of the Nikki Cross character, which was impossible to hide from the audience. WWE, though, was happy with the camera shot and reveal that went backstage, then followed Uncle Howdy back out the entranceway. WWE sources also that Fightful spoke to were also over the moon about the crowd reaction from Corpus Christi in general, which has long held a reputation of sometimes being a dead crowd. That certainly wasn't the case for the reveal this past Monday. As far as production, buzz, and the feedback that was received for the segment, Fightful have been told that WWE was very happy with how all of it worked out. Now, Dave Meltzer has opened up on his reaction to it on Wrestling Observer Radio. He assessed the faction's debut and what the attack could mean for the stars involved. Meltzer pointed out how excited the crowd clearly was about the segment, but expressed his concerns with it. Quote, "They murdered everybody, but the thing is, what happens when they have to wrestle?" Now, as I mentioned, one of the criticisms of supernatural characters like Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker have often led to having to no-sell moves. They're big monsters outside of the reality of pro wrestling, which Meltzer explained could lead to complications with the booking of all 5 stars. Quote, "These guys have to be supermen, and so many of them and everything doing the no-sell thing. I mean, does that mean Nikki Cross is going to turn into, remember when Alexa Bliss had that superhuman strength for a while? Continuing on the topic of the faction's booking, Meltzer suggested that Jey Uso might just be the first major feud for the faction will face due to the positioning of their debut on the card, and how his entrance has also included likes like Wyatt's always did, saying, quote, "I can see it now, it's really obvious, but you know, it's like, I guess the big feud would be Jey Uso because Jey was doing the Bray Wyatt entrance. Of course, Chad Gable, though, was taken out by the Wyatt Six faction clearly on Raw, so many people are pointing to Gable being the first feud for this brand new faction." So what do you think happens next when it comes to the Wyatt Six faction? It looks like the reveal was universally acclaimed Monday night, but what do you think happens moving forward when it comes to the booking and the challenges, WWE moving away from supernatural elements? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Let me know what happens next when it comes to this group. Now, the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament is kicking off this week on AEW Dynamite. Ahead of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, Tony Khan has announced the first AEW Owen Hart Foundation tournament match. At AEW Double or Nothing 2024, AEW CEO Tony Khan and Dr. Martha Hart announced that the winners of the 2024 Owen Hart Cup tournament will get a shot at the AEW World and Women's World Championships at AEW All in London this August at Wembley Stadium. This has led to top stars entering the field for this year's tournament, such as Bryan Danielson, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Shingo Takagi, and Pac. Ahead of this Wednesday show, AEW President Tony Khan announced the first tournament match with Pac facing Claudio Castagnoli in an Owen Hart Cup men's tournament quarterfinal match on tonight's June 19 episode of Dynamite. He read, quote, "Tomorrow, this Wednesday, June 19, TBS Live in Fairfax, Virginia, Wednesday night AEW Dynamite, Owen Hart Foundation Cup men's quarterfinal, Claudio Castagnoli versus Pac. The Owen Hart Foundation Cup kicks off live on Wednesday night Dynamite, Claudio versus Pac tomorrow." Now, also announced for the Wednesday broadcast, MJF will face Roosh in the show's opening match without commercial interruptions. Meanwhile, AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland will go face-to-face with Will Ospreay ahead of their Forbidden Door main event. Also, Orange Cassidy will team with Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Dante Martin to face New Japan Pro Wrestling's Zack Sabre Jr., Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita in an all-star 8-man tag team match. And when it comes to the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, we are going to find out the entire brackets of the tournament too, for both tournaments tonight on Dynamite 2. After making the announcement, Tony Khan once again took to social media to announce that the brackets for both the men's and women's tournaments will be revealed on Dynamite tonight. He said, quote, "Don't miss the bracket reveals for the Owen Hart Foundation Cup men and women's tournaments tomorrow ahead of Owen Hart Foundation Cup action, kicking off with a huge bout to open the Owen in an amazing matchup, Claudio Castagnoli versus Pac on Wednesday night AEW Dynamite." So that's going to be being revealed tonight on Dynamite. When it comes to the men that have entered, we spoke about that early on. On the female side of things, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Mariah May, Soraya, and Hikaru Shida have all been announced for the women's tournament. Once we get the details of the brackets, we'll let you know in a future video. Now let's talk about the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw. We spoke about the reveal of the Wyatt Six. It was very newsworthy Raw. Seth Rollins is back, Drew McIntyre quit, and also the Wyatt Six made their debut. WWE returned to the United States following their recent trip to Glasgow, Scotland for the Clash at the Castle event, and some stars might have wished they stayed in Europe given what happened when the Wyatt Six made their arrival on the show. With the company now firmly on the road to Money in the Bank in Toronto, how many fans tuned in to watch the show live? Well, according to WrestleNomics, the June 17 edition of Raw averaged a total viewership of 1.747 million viewers, marking a 9% increase from the 1.609 million the show earned the previous week. There was also an increase in the 18 to 49 demographic number 2, as the show earned a 0.55 number, which is up 10% from a 0.50 the June 10 edition of the show earned. And many fans feared that despite coming off a PLE that usually drives viewership up, Raw wouldn't fare well against Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. The June 12 edition of AEW Dynamite and the June 14 edition of SmackDown both saw dips in viewership going head-to-head with the NBA, but despite final game in the series between the Celtics and Mavericks earning 12.224 million viewers and a 3.65 number in the 18 to 49 demo, Raw increased in viewership and was number 1 in the 18 to 49 demo out of all of the shows on cable. Now, fans who tuned in for the whole show also got to see the return of Seth Rollins, as Damian Priest challenged him for the World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank, something that Rollins accepted. He will challenge Priest for his title at the upcoming PLE. Drew McIntyre quit the company following the events at Clash of the Castle, and both Jey Uso and Io Sky qualified for their respective Money in the Bank ladder matches, as well as the debut of the Wyatt Six faction. Now, going back to NXT last night, we've seen this story recently, haven't we, with Brooks Jensen. Now, for multiple weeks now, Brooks Jensen has been causing a stir with his antics, first on social media and now crossing over onto NXT television. The storyline is essentially that he wasn't happy with how he was being used in NXT, and because he voiced that, perhaps due to the nature of how he voiced it, he was kicked out of the Performance Center and barred from shows. However, he's repeatedly tried to show up at venues, often being dragged out by security. That happened again on last night's NXT, as Jensen was shown in the background of an Obafemi and Wesley in-ring promo, trying to make his way through the crowd, but being held back. Later, in the background of a parking lot interview of Eddie Thorpe, Jensen was shown being escorted to a police car, seemingly being arrested. Now, Jensen has claimed that his WWE contract expires this Friday and that he'll be leaving the company, but the situation has repeatedly been reported by Fightful as being a developing storyline. So we'll wait and see indeed how that one plays out. And finally, are we seeing the seeds being planted for a split of the New Day? Now, the New Day has been one of the most popular stables in WWE for years, and together, the three men have held tag team gold on 14 different occasions, making them one of the most decorated factions as well. Big E's injury unfortunately set the New Day back, despite having a brief return to WWE NXT, and according to Dave Meltzer, their future might be bleak. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer reviewed the recent segment between Karrion Kross and the New Day, seemingly suggesting that there could be trouble between Woods and Kingston. Quote, "The thing is, like Woods was talking, he was about to accept the challenge, then Kofi in the promo basically accepts the challenge." Because of this, Meltzer believes that WWE could be angling towards breaking up one of their longest running teams. Quote, "I mean, nothing lasts forever in WWE. However, he noted that this could ultimately lead to yet another booking issue for the two. Here's the problem though, if you break them up, neither of them is going to do that much. Sadly, this might only be the only option left for them, as according to the update on his injury that Big E provided recently, the star believes there is a chance he may never return to the ring. But at the very least, he says that he's without pain and otherwise is healthy." So what are your thoughts when it comes to the future of the New Day? Would you split them up? Would you keep them together? What do you think happens next with them? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.